the reason that we're seeing articles like that or data like that from IC Cars is because we've had the ongoing chip shortage, and we have been, we'll proclaim ourselves Debbie Downers. I mean, the news has just been not fun, not fun, not fun. Seems like maybe this week there's some positive headlines. I thought we could talk about those.
Yes, let's try and turn the frown on our face into a smile on our face, because we do have some good news. As we know, through the last quarter of the year, Toyota was losing about 300,000 vehicles to production that they had planned to produce. And the hope is now that between December and March of next year, they'll be able to recoup almost 100,000 of those vehicles through gains in their supply chain. So ultimately, they'll end up losing about 200,000 units that they had expected this to produce in that fiscal year, as opposed to the 300,000 that they had said earlier. So that's a good sign.
Increase, or delta, 33% delta.
Oh my God, I knew we could get the delta in there.
Like that's not insignificant. That's actually very material. That's huge.
No, absolutely it is.
Yeah. So the article goes on to talk about what they're doing in order to make sure that they've hardened up their supply chain to produce those additional 97,000 vehicles. But it's good. It's good news. I mean, the idea of revising expectations in a positive manner versus what we had been seeing, which was just like deeper and deeper into like kind of negative territory, more vehicles not being produced. We have some positive news from Toyota. And then the same thing happening with GM. They said very recently that they expect their plants that had been closed because of the chip shortage to reopen by November 1st. And, go ahead.
Some of these plants, like the Malibu plant, has been closed. That plant's been closed for 9 months.
9 months.
Yeah, and here's the scary part. It's not like anybody's missed the Malibu, but what this indicates is if they can bring that plant back online, it indicates that they're getting or they expect to get their hands on enough chips that they can now move some of that chips that they need to their slower moving vehicles that they would normally produce, as opposed to the quicker moving, higher content vehicles that they've been producing.
We've got a great question in the chat that we'll bring up here in just a second from Creative Circus, but just to hit on that, to harp on that a little bit more, we saw all of the resources go towards the most profitable vehicles for all the different manufacturers.
Yes.
And a lot of the stalwarts of years past, i.e. sedans, they weren't getting the allocation. A lot of those plants were shutting down. And so, yes, we're actually in a place now where GM might be able to produce Malibus again, which is a great thing.
And that is a great thing because, some of the best deals that have been out there for consumers have been on sedans as opposed to the truck and SUV market. And even though the sedans weren't being produced in the volumes that they would have liked, there were still deals to be had on those. And so if Chevy's going to start producing Malibus again, that to me indicates that others will be able to increase their sedan production. And I think moving forward, sedans should be able to continue to be the best value out there for customers looking to get a new vehicle. We all seem to think that we need to have an SUV, when in reality, we probably don't. And so if you're ever looking to save a few dollars on your next vehicle, open your eyes again, take a look at some sedans and some hatchbacks that are out there that could be almost as functional as an SUV, but saving you thousands of dollars in the process.
So, Pops, let's hit on this question from Creative Circus, which was, does that mean anything for pricing on Toyota cars? Do you have any expectation, Pops, that since we're seeing maybe a revision in the positive direction in terms of manufacturing capacity and what they're going to be able to produce, will that impact maybe incentives that we see towards year end or pricing from the dealers on Toyotas?
I doubt it. And the reason I say that is those 97,000 vehicles that they're going to produce, they're going to be produced in the first quarter of next year. Let's face it, plants are not running at at 100% capacity in the month of December. There's a couple big holidays. So plants aren't running at capacity in December. So those 97,000 units will be in the first quarter of next year. And those 97,000 units are still 203,000 units less than what they had anticipated building in the first place. Yeah. So I don't think that's enough additional product to impact pricing or incentives in any great way moving forward.
I agree with you. Let's wrap this up with one final piece of data, which is from Auto Forecast Solutions. Each week they tally up the vehicles that are lost in production because of the ongoing chip shortage. And you've seen us and heard us on this show say week over week we've lost an additional 250,000, 500,000 vehicles. This most recent week, Dad, it was 4,000 vehicles in North America are what they had tallied up as losses due to the chip shortage. That is the smallest number we've seen in a very long time. So that's positive. It's
probably the smallest number since they started keeping track of this during the chip crisis. So that's an extremely positive sign.
It's a great thing to see, and hopefully, I mean, knock on wood, if we can see vehicles getting produced again, then as consumers, we'll likely get some incentives back. Dealers will be a little less hard on the additional dealer markups. Like all the things that we need to see happen would be great, and hopefully they're actually coming. And I saw it in the chat, and I'm going to say it right now.
Yeah, buddy.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Let's hope. And there's really two things that I personally would like to see, and that is that the dealers either cut out or cut down on the amount of additional dealer markup, but more importantly, that they cut out the dealer installed accessories, the overpriced, unwanted, unnecessary dealer installed packages that they're forcing the customers to purchase on top of the adjusted market values.